Hey Giants fans, welcome back to Giants Latest. It is divisional rival week. The Giants take on the Eagles on Thursday Night Football at home. Today we are talking about offensive and defensive players to watch and then my final game prediction. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So obviously I know our big focus every single week is of course on Jackson Dart, as it should be. I think he did a nice job improving from weeks 1 to week 2 in his NFL career, and I want to see him continue that this week. So one of the things I noticed that he improved on very quickly was focusing more on his body and the way that he was able to slide and take hits. So for example, he said after the game, I believe after the Chargers game, that one thing that he was going to do is, if he saw that first down marker, he was going for it and he was never going to slide before that, which he did. But I felt like the way that he kind of dove forward, it seemed to me like it was a little more aware. He was a little more focused, like not letting his head hit the ground, try to go like body first. I don't know. I just felt like there was a different awareness there that we didn't see in the first week. And one thing that I talked about a bit was I think in week 1 for him, there's a lot of adrenaline, emotions, right? It's your first game. You're the starter at home. It's a big opportunity to go out there and win this game. You've got Malik Neighbors and Dexter Lawrence and everyone's healthy and yada, yada. So I think, in my opinion, I think that contributed to some of the hits that he took, that he was like, I have to prove that I'm an NFL quarterback and I'm willing to take these hits for my guys. And part of that is definitely his personality. I don't think that's ever going to go away, but I think it was amplified during the Chargers game. And I think last week he kind of saw like, all right, well, I got yanked out for a play. I had to go in the tent and I don't want that to happen again. So I love that he slid a couple times. And again, I felt like he was a little bit more aware with taking those types of hits. So I want to see that continue. But I like the competitive fire that he brings and I like that edge that he has. So I'm excited to see that. Now, the second thing, and what I think is the most important thing that I want to see from him this week is if someone is open, take the shot instead of running. We saw this a lot with the Saints. And granted, our wide receiver core is struggling. So I am certain that on a good portion of those plays, when he got through his reads and saw that no one was open or they weren't in the right spot or he didn't trust the receiver to be there to make that throw, he ended up taking off and running. Now, I'm sure part of it was also because he got burned by making those throws to open wide receivers like Beau Collins and Jalen Hyatt, and then they were not in the right spot, and that resulted in turnovers. So, I want to see him find some sort of balance of that this week. So, get through your reads, take a chance if you see someone is open or they're headed your way, they're looking your way, it looks like they're going to be open. Take that chance, but be smart with it. And, take off when you feel like no one is really there. Now, the coaching staff has to do a better job of scheming these guys open. And we talked about this yesterday. You have to utilize the tight ends more. They are big-bodied receivers. They are all 6'3" and taller. They have long arms. They can make those plays. It worked in the red zone. You've got to do it again, but continually moving down the field. When Daniel Bellinger has a career-high game, utilize him again. So I really want to see the tight ends be heavily involved as receivers in this game. But that's the stuff that I want to see from Jackson Dart, and I'm excited to see him back at home. It's a Thursday night game, his first primetime game. There's going to be a lot of Eagles fans there, but I do think for the most part it's going to be a good environment for him and for this Giants team. Next up, we have to talk about Andrew Thomas, and I know this is not like sexy or exciting to talk about an offensive lineman, but we have spent so much time complaining about this offensive line, and to be fair, we deserve to, because the offensive line's been really bad. But we got to talk about Andrew Thomas, who's playing amazing. He's been back for 3 games, you guys. He has not given up a single sack, pressure, or quarterback hit in 3 games. That's amazing. So I know there was concern from all of us about, well, when he comes back, is he going to look like the same Andrew Thomas? Have no fear. If you have not paid that much attention to Andrew Thomas over the last couple weeks, now is your time because he has been incredible. He has been the lifesaver for this offensive line. And they are doing a good job. They've improved on their run blocking. The pass blocking has been pretty good. And Jackson Dart did not take as many sacks against the Saints as he did against the Chargers. So, again, I think they're starting to find some sort of rhythm. Obviously, the turnovers last week were not part of that. But I think they're going to sweep that under the rug and they're going to move on. And, I don't expect to see anything like that happen ever again as a Giants fan. If I'm alive for the next 50 years at this point. Never want to see that again. I don't care who's on the field. So unfortunately, stuff like that happens. Again, I think it was an outlier here. But I'm optimistic about this offensive line. I think Tyrone Tracy is going to be back, which is going to be great to help open up the run game. So I'm excited to see more of him. Always excited to see Scat. And then lastly, the other offensive players that I cannot wait to watch are the tight ends, because they've done a really great job in the last couple weeks. Theo Johnson, 3 touchdowns in 2 games. Daniel Bellinger having a career high game. These are the guys that need to be involved. And I think that this is a perfect opportunity for this coaching staff to say, we're going to build upon the success that we had. And the success that we had last week in the red zone was by getting the ball to the tight end. One of the ways that we were able to help move the ball down the field was getting the ball to our other tight end. So I'm expecting big games, hopefully, from Theo Johnson and Daniel Bellinger. I really want to see them utilized, and they deserve to get those targets. So I think those are going to be big opportunities, and they're really going to help. The Giants need explosive plays to beat this Eagles team, and that is going to be the way to do it. Now, let's move along and talk about the defense. I need to see Shane Bowen blitz more. And with that being said, Abdul Carter, it is time for him to get his first sack. Now, I have seen some fans complain here and there, oh, Abdul Carter's not showing up on the stat sheet, he's not doing this, he's not doing that. It doesn't mean that he's been ineffective. If you watch the games, he's been all over the place and he has been making plays. The Chargers game was his best game so far. I want to see Bowen put him in a position to expand upon that. So we know this Eagles offensive line is not the Eagles offensive line of the past. You must blitz more. Between Burns, Thibodeau, and Carter, I expect to see at least 2 sacks between the 3 of them. And you can add Dexter Lawrence into that. Whatever, between the 4 of them, the front 4, you have to get pressure on Jalen Hurts behind this O-line. And yes, Jalen Hurts can take off and run, but so can Justin Herbert, so can Spencer Rattler, so can Dak Prescott, and so can Jaden Daniels. Every single other quarterback that we have already played this year, they're not Tom Brady back there or Eli Manning, who's basically incapable of running, okay? We know that all quarterbacks this day and age, they are mobile, except if you're Aaron Rodgers. So, or Joe Flacco at this rate. So, you can prepare for that, but I think the linebackers are making steady improvements. So I really just want to see the front 4 get home. I'm really excited about Carter this week. What I'm not going to do is bet on them to get sacks, because I did that last week, and that's 100% why no one got a sack. It's my fault. I take responsibility. I am so sorry. So I will not do that again. I've learned my lesson. But I think Carter's going to do it this week. He's been so close, and he's been really fun to watch. I love Abdul Carter. Can't wait to see more of him. So next up on my players to watch is Cordell Flott, because they better take Tay Banks off the field. I am so sick of seeing Tay Banks in 3rd down situations where he is the problem and the team converts. You know what Cordell Flott does well on 3rd down? Make plays, get pass breakups, stop the players before they get the 1st down marker. He's done a good job. We better see more Cordell Flott this week. I understand that Banks is better in man-to-man coverage, but until he can prove that he is going to stop with the DPI calls, get him off the field, especially on 3rd down. You want to put him in there on 1st down when you're playing man-to-man? Fine. I can live with that. Get him off the field on 3rd down. I want to see Cordell Flott there more often. And look, we can say the same thing about Drew Phillips, right? Drew Phillips has had some very costly DPIs. But on the flip side of that, Drew Phillips does actually make some very good plays outside of the penalties. He's number 2 in the NFL for pass breakups. He also is a very good tackler. He's had good tackles for loss. He has 2 interceptions. So he's a playmaker, even though he's got the penalty side that is a problem for him. Banks, the only thing he's making plays on is as a returner. So that's where I want to see Banks. I don't want to see him on the defense. So I think Drew Phillips, he's going to have an opportunity this week, because I think if they can get pressure on Jalen Hurts, he's going to throw the ball around, and there's an opportunity for Drew Phillips to make a play and make a smart play that doesn't include getting those DPI penalties. Now, I've heard that the coaching staff is working with the guys on the DPI penalties because Drew Phillips and I think Paulson Adebo has even had a couple at this point. And Tay Banks have been noted as being handsy. So it's something that they're working on. Work on it faster, okay? You got to make these improvements a lot faster than you have been. So that's what I want to see out of them. I think this defense is capable of making plays this week. I hope that they're going to bounce back. I hope that Shane Bowen has learned his lesson. He's going to put them in a better position to succeed. And it's got to be this week against a division rival, right? I know the season is over for us as fans, but it's not for them in the building. So you still have a lot to prove, Shane Bowen. Prove it. Prove that you deserve to be here next year, because at this rate, you might not make it through the season. And it's what's so frustrating to me is he doesn't have a bunch of practice squad bums. There's talent on this defense, and it's unacceptable that week after week they are ranked as one of the worst defenses in the NFL. That is unacceptable. And I understand there's going to be miscommunications and there's going to be issues here and there. But the reality is that this defense should be winning a lot more than they're losing. They should be winning the one-on-one battles. They should be winning the turnover battle. They should be winning the time of possession. All of those things. The defense should be contributing to that. And the fact that they are not, to me, is a travesty. And it's because of Shane Bowen. Because I know one thing for damn sure. And it's that if Wink Martindale was this defensive coordinator, we would have a top 3 defensive line statistically in the NFL. You'd be able to see it on the TV and on the field week in and week out. And our secondary would be a lot better. This would be ranked a top 10 defense. There is not a single doubt in my mind. It might even be top 5. And this is what I talk about when I say that coaching matters. Because Wink was able to do it with a less talented roster in 2022 and 2023. Imagine what he could do now with Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, and then $100 million in the secondary. And Tay Banks, who he loved. So it's on you, Shane Bowen. Get it together. So here's my final prediction for this week. I don't think the Giants are going to win it. I always say, prove me wrong. I want to be wrong. I said this yesterday. Prove me wrong and go out there and beat the Eagles. But until I see it, I have a hard time believing it. And that's because the coaching staff can't seem to get their head out of their ass. They make mistakes over and over. The players have miscommunications. They have the same penalties over and over. They stop doing things that work successfully. There's a whole bunch of things. And it comes down to the players on execution. It's not all the coaching staff, okay? Brian Dable is not the reason why Jermaine Illuminor is getting a holding penalty, okay? We know that. So that also has to be improved upon. And Jermaine Illuminor has been one of the best offensive linemen on this team. So I'm calling him out because he had a holding penalty in the red zone. You can't do shit like that. So I need to see that stuff be improved upon. The execution has to improve by the players. And when I can see someone like Jackson Dart make progress from one week to another, there's not a single excuse. And the same thing goes for Andrew Thomas, who came in off an injury, who played at 100% immediately and has done so every game thereafter. The same thing with Dexter Lawrence, the same thing with Brian Burns. It's inexcusable for the other players. Now, if they don't know what to do and they don't know where to be, that's on the coaching staff. That's on communication. That's on game planning. That's on preparing. But if the player is not doing their job, which is blocking, running, catching the ball, being in the right spot at the right time, that is on the player, right? Bo Collins stopped running his route is unacceptable. That's not Brian Dable's coaching. As much as I'd like to blame Brian Dable for everything, he's only part of it. A big part of it, but part of it nonetheless. So that's on Bo Collins to be in the right place. So anyway, I don't think the Giants are going to win this. I would like to say I'm optimistic and hope that they could keep it close, but I can very much see it being a game where we're going into the fourth quarter. It's 21-7. The Giants get a garbage time touchdown with 2 minutes left, and the score ends up being 21-14. And it sounds more competitive than it truly was. So I unfortunately think the Eagles take this one. But like I said yesterday, Giants prove me wrong. Go out there at home. I'll be in the home crowd rooting you on, cheering you on. Let's do it. Let's go out there. Go 2-0 at home this year so far, okay? Did it against the Chargers. Let's do it against the Eagles. Let's go Giants. Let's get the win.